the wall over 10 years ago. They've been a company that's been transitioning for a while. They rebranded themselves as an oil company to an energy company a long time ago. They've sold most of their assets in the oil sands. They have been heavily investing in wind turbines, solar power. They've been heavily investing in bioenergy projects and stuff like that. And then a few years ago, they actually purchased Greenlots. And Greenlots is the backbone of the charging infrastructure for a number of things. Ivy uses Greenlots, and a number of other networks use Greenlots as their backbone as well too. So Shell has sort of this project here is probably an expansion of their Greenlots arm, basically, that they've took over now, called Shell Recharge. So I think Shell's seen the writing on the wall, and they've been starting to transition. So and I think they've seen evolve or die, and they've chosen to try to evolve. So
yeah, I find it really interesting with how they're evolving. It's not just like, oh, we're going to just sell charging to the cars that charge with us. It's like right from the get-go, even the electricity generation, like you mentioned with the wind turbines, and the fact that they're looking also into the storage aspect and then the distribution of that. They've, as got a 3.9 million federal grant, and I think that's, to me, it's like a great use of our money. I'd rather see stuff like this happening, which is sustainable and actually helps the company to evolve, and it benefits all of us. And I think the fact that they're really expanding out into not just like, here, we're selling you a charge of your car, we're getting into all the other stuff, says a lot about this company as well. So, all right. This one I came across, and this is fun because I think this is an area that, oh, you got electric cars. Oh, I'm hearing about electric transport trucks. Well, and then tonight we're talking more about the electrification of mining vehicles. But of course, when it comes down to it, well, what about our food and the tractors used for the food? And this is interesting because Foxconn, those of us in tech know that Foxconn does manufacturing, for example, Apple iPhone. And so they're obviously are branching out that much more. And they're doing some stuff for a company called Monarch Tractors. And what I love about this, a couple of things, is like they can do 10 hours of runtime, and they can do a battery swap, capability if they want to. So they could literally farm 24 hours. And of course, with a 24-hour operation, like, I'm lucky to run for 10 hours a day. And 24 hours, well, what's happening is that they're now getting more into the autonomous aspect of it. And this is interesting because they can do like up to 8 tractors at once. So I'm thinking that if you have a field and you had 8 tractors, it just makes everything that much quicker that they can do this type of stuff. So for all it could be like, farmers work together, and they may like, I've got a tractor, you got a tractor, like, okay, let's work together, get the things figured out with the field, and go from there. And the other thing too is the base price of $58,000 for a tractor. I think that's pretty good, because as far as I know, most tractors, like, they're pretty pricey with something like this. And again, charging, if you do charge them, is 4 to 5 hours. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that they've got happening on this.
It is something that we're seeing right across the transportation industry. Electrification is the word of the the 2020s for sure. So all these different forms of transportation or internal combustion motors are faced with electrification now. So we've heard about case equipment, we've heard about CAT, we've heard about all these different from mining equipment to construction to now farming. electrification is really kicking into high gear here. I think we're starting to boating. Another thing that has been added to the list recently. Ian knows that for sure with his own project. But it's electrification is really taking off now. I don't think it's going to stop. It's something that I would say is over the hump of proving itself, and now we're going to get the benefits that as more and more companies come on board and start to innovate the current electrification abilities, we're just going to get better and better products and cheaper products as time goes along. So this is going to be great for people that love electrification going forward into the next number of years. I see a lot of innovation coming our way.
Yeah, and I think to Ian's point and to Mark's point, we're seeing a lot of electrification. I think historically farm equipment has been, especially here in North America, has been quite a bit of a laggard in that area. I know John Deere's been experimenting also with some electric equipment as well in the past, and I know there's a few European companies that have a few electric tractors in the market now as well too. But it's good to see this as an option as well too, and maybe a company like Foxconn smells a little bit of blood in the water, seeing that there's a lot of the big North American farm suppliers have not done too much work on the electrification front, and they might see an opportunity to penetrate the North American market. So,
yeah, if you think about the podcasts in the past that we have been doing, and we've talked about semi trucks, but the last few podcasts as well, we've been talking about delivery vehicles with GM's Bright Drop, right? And those delivery vehicles, and they're not doing now, like we originally talked about 150, 200 kilometers of range, which is great for the city, but now we're talking about 400 plus that can do longer trips. So yeah, I think as time goes on and as we've been doing these podcasts, we're just seeing more and more of these things happening. And today I got another a Cottage Life email, and they had a whole article on some of the electrified boats that are happening, and like the full boats. So, now they're not cheap. I mean, the pontoon boat started at about 40,000, and then they had another boat was like 100 grand, and they even had one boat that was 200 grand. But again, it's just happening, and it's making it really interesting to see how many areas that we can get into that are just being electrified. I also saw an electric bike this week that was also an electric boat. A guy who he traveled across Europe into Asia, and he biked it, and then he came back and he just started designing this whole bike, which it turns into a boat as well, and you can sleep in it. It's kind of like your personal small, tiny home. And he had, besides the regular pedaling, you could do the electric stuff. And even on the boat side of things, it was just interesting to see once it was a boat, it was like an electric boat as well. And you could kind of putt around in that. So it's, it's happening. It's very cool. All right. So
yes,
this is kind of a sad thing to see, but what's happening.
Yeah, it's what's happening. For those of you that don't know, Plug and Drive, which is a private group, nonprofit based in Vaughan, has been over the past number of years been offering an incentive for used vehicles, used EVs for sale. They've been offering $1,000 for the used vehicle if it was under a certain dollar amount. And they also offered an additional $1,000 if you scrapped your gas car when you were switching to the EV. So up to $2,000 for the individual, which of course would help somebody with the transition over to EV, maybe help them buy have some extra money for buying a charger or getting one installed. It was a nice little incentive. We have heard that this incentive is coming to an end. So it hasn't ended quite yet, but we do understand that the number of spots that they have for these $1,000 credits is coming to a close. So for those of you who are out there that have started the process, I would suggest you get your butt in gear and finish off the process, submitting the paperwork, going through plug-in drives, a little introductory session, getting your certificate and mailing that off, because they are getting to the end of this incentive, and it's something that you don't want to kick yourself that you missed it by just a couple of spots. So get this out of the way if you haven't already. So it doesn't apply to everybody. It's only for Ontario residents, and it's been highly successful, I believe. It certainly has spread information about EVs. Given people that ability to apply for an extra credit on a used EV, which of course there has been nothing from the governments to this point in Ontario or Canada for a used EV incentive. And it was an excellent program that they had rolled out on their own.
Yeah, it was a great program. I liked how they kind of structured it too, where you'd have to show up and just sort of go to a little seminar and just learn a little bit about electric vehicles and some of the common misconceptions out there and answer about that as well too. My understanding too is I think the fund was originally set up by a benefactor. So if I recall, it was set up by a benefactor, and there's probably a certain pool of money that was allocated to it. So I presume that pool of money looks like it's probably starting to dwindle.
Mm-hmm. I know the first name was Michael. I can't think of the last name, and I had met him. A very interesting gentleman, very much a avid supporter of EVs, renewables, and he set that up, and I think it's done quite well for plug and drive. And I mean, on one hand, it's sad that we're seeing it is coming to an end. On the other hand, it's like, well, there you go. It's just something more successful wise that is happening and helping people to make the changeover and adopt to a new electric vehicle. And it's just one more gas car off the road as well. Yeah. All right. To close off the night, this is an interesting area that I love because, I mean, between towing a trailer with solar panels to the cabin and towing a solar-powered pontoon boat, and I can tell you that, you know, when you put a trailer on, you definitely lose some range, but you lose range in the gas vehicle as well. I've talked to other truck owners, and it's, you know, it's not hard to lose 50% of your range when you're towing something. But this study was quite interesting. Eric, I'll let you take that over from there.
Yeah, so they went through and they looked at the data from 400,000 light-duty pickup trucks that are used across the U.S. and Canada in 24 different industry sectors, and then they compared it to, and I think they used the F150 Lightning as its sort of its benchmark for an electric truck, and it went out and it looked at on just based on a single charge of a vehicle that a vehicle like the Lightning could already today satisfy 76% of all of those trucks on the road today on a single charge. So that's pretty impressive right off the start, especially one of the first major EV trucks in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like trucks aren't the most efficient, regardless whether they're gasoline or EV. But that towing certainly, as Ian has mentioned, it can bring you down 50%. So not a big surprise that whether you're towing with an EV or an internal combustion engine, you're still going to be limited by the laws of physics, and that certainly is going to reduce your range. But certainly, electric pickups are going to give you the advantage of being cleaner, and of course, you're still going to benefit from the lower cost of gasoline being eliminated, and of course the lower cost of maintenance going forward, as other EVs do as well. So certainly electric is going to be the way to go, and with the number of new pickups that are entering the market, I think people are going to have a lot of choices in front of them to pick the vehicle that's going to suit their job best.
Mm-hmm. I saw a recent post that somebody made, and it was for an RV trailer in Europe, and what it was doing for electrification. And the guy made the point that, hey, North America, so here you go. There's perhaps our next sort of podcast and discussion about the transition of the RV vehicle now becoming more electrified. Like we saw in was towed with electric wheels that helped as the car moved along, so it wasn't taking the full brunt of pulling it. It actually helped assist everything. And so we're seeing, again, as this gentleman mentioned, more of this happening in Europe. That's the next, I think, thing that's got to, we've got to start seeing that in North America as well, because RVs are, it's a huge industry here. We have a lot of land that people like to go travel and see and check out. And last comment, because it's mentioned about the Ford F-150, I got a phone call coming home from the cabin from a friend of ours, who we all know he's part of another EV association, but he said, I've got 150 reasons for you to come visit me now. Unfortunately, my time did not allow. I had to get back home, and then he called me the next day to say I am going to be in Waterloo. And unfortunately, he was too busy with schedules, but he told me he had bought the Ford F-150 and some really neat features on it. The Pro Pilot. He can basically look ahead. Tesla, of course, if you do autopilot and full self-driving, you're meant to keep your hand on the wheel. If you take it off, it's going to bug you about 10, 15 seconds. But now the Pro Pilot, as long as you keep looking ahead, he said if you look down at your phone for about 5 to 10 seconds, it's going to beep at you and bug you. Mm-hmm. But and of course it also has the power to if you want, run power tools, run your home, all this sort of stuff. But he was really impressed with that, and I'm sure as a tow vehicle, that's going to make be interesting as well.
Yeah, I've seen the reviews with the Ford Blue Crew system, and their towing as well too. The towing is actually most reviews that I've seen with the towing, they say it tows flawlessly. The only, of course, the effect is, of course, the range is significantly impacted by that. And even to Mark's point, like one of the big things around the industry today is like the gas F-150 is one of the top selling vehicles, if not the top selling vehicle in North America. And there's a huge number of accessories that come with that now as well too, from campers to other things that attach to the bed and stuff as well too. But if you look at some of those accessories today, a lot of them are very boxy, not very aerodynamic. And even trailers and stuff like that today, they never really designed them with aerodynamics in mind. And I think that's going to change now. I think you're going to start to see, as EV pickup trucks become more popular, now you're going to start to see accessory manufacturers starting to cater and tailor their products for those types of applications, and start to come up with some creative and innovative solutions for that, like a trailer that can assist as well too, that it might have power assist and stuff like that as well too. So I think we're going to see a whole industry sort of evolve with it as well too.
Yeah. I think from what I understand, is the aerodynamics is actually, it's not the weight, it's the aerodynamics that actually reduces your range that much more problematic. So, which I found interesting, but after talking with a few people about it, it's like, yeah, weights, definitely can affect things, but it's the actual aerodynamics that will really affect stuff.
Yeah, I think in some cases it comes down to what I call relative weight. The F-150 by itself was already a very heavy. The Lightning is a very heavy vehicle, so when you're towing a relative weight vehicle, the trailer weight relative to the truck is such that it doesn't have that big of an impact already on the efficiency.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. Well, there you go.
Very good. Okay, if you could just take the deck down there even. Very, very good. I did want to say, if you've watched the video to this point, please give us a thumbs up. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already. That helps spread the news about the channel, gets more eyeballs in front of the show. We also wanted to let everyone know that Waterloo Region EVA is going to be hosting an upcoming event, October the 1st. National Drive Electric Week is starting, and we will be running on the second Saturday, which is October the 1st. Please, if you would like to attend, just go Google National Drive Electric Week, look up the Waterloo site on the website, and register. Register your car, register if you'd like to participate or be there, and we will see you on that Saturday. Feel free to join us. We would love to have you out. We should have a fairly large crowd. As of today, we have over 30 vehicles registered, EVs. So we're hoping to maybe get into close to 100. We'd love to do that again, as we've done in previous years. So with that said, any shout outs from the two of you before we go? Let's start with Eric.
I'm good, Mark.
Okay. And Ian, any shout outs from your end?
I've got a couple shout outs actually today. Shout out to Bill at Titan Auto Glass in Waterloo, and to Nick and his crew at Nico's, I think it's Signs and Graphics. They do like the PPF wraps, that type of stuff. And the reason I'm giving them shout outs is I had a windshield replaced, a lovely crack in it. But then there also came about a chip on the sunroof, which in the first Model 3s is what's called the rainbow roof. So when you put water on it, it gets this really cool orangey kind of like rainbow color. And I was like, oh man, this is not good. I don't want to like replace this with just any old roof. This is like unique. And anyways, Bill called him up and he said, bring it down. And they actually were able to repair the chip. And Nick's and his crew were actually able to touch it up even a little bit more. And you know what? It's safe. It's saved, which is really nice because that is a feature for the car that I really like. And unfortunately, they don't do it anymore. It's very unique. So shout outs to them. And yeah, go visit them. They did great work.
Very good. Very good. Well, with that, we'll call it a night. We want to thank everyone for watching. And again, we will see you again next month and get together and share the electrifying news at that point. Thanks, everyone.
Maybe about RVs.
Have a great day or evening, whatever you're in. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Good night.